Red Line Land. Today we're going to be talking about the historical accuracy of explosive ammo and this actual historical uses. Now, to get into this, firearms predate to China in like the early 13th century, 12th century. They would use them in fireworks, and then some guy got an idea, hey, let's make a barrel that can shoot that shit at someone. And it went from there and eventually led to matchlocks, wheel locks, blunderbusses, muskets, rifles, flintlocks, wheel locks, matchlocks, all that jazz. Eventually led to muzzle-loaded firearms, breech loaders, all that, bolt actions, lever actions, all that. But you also had cannons, which could shoot explosive shells at walls and people. Well, some people got the idea to make something like that, like hand grenades and stuff, and rocket launchers. You see, in Red Online, people are always saying, oh, it's not historically accurate to have explosive ammo and incendiary shotgun ammo. They're right, to an extent. Hear me out. Incendiary ammo, mainly incendiary buckshot, wasn't really used up to like the later part of World War I and starting to go into World War II. It's mainly used in World War II, like Vietnam and Korea and stuff, right? That's where incendiary buckshot ammo comes in. Now, rocket launchers and hand grenades and landmines, though, that traces back to the American Civil War. You see, the Confederacy used Congreve rockets, which were used by the British in the War of 1812. They were very inaccurate, they weren't really used much, and they were considered a failure. Now, the Union adopted a very unknown weapon called the Hale Patton rocket launcher, which was pretty much like any rocket launcher. It has a metal tube, and it would fire 7 to 10 inch long spin stabilized rockets that could go up to 2,000 yards. It wasn't used by the infantry in the Civil War or anything like that, and it was a massive improvement on the Congreve, though they were mainly used by the U.S. Navy in the Civil War. Now, you got machine guns, stuff like that, but landmines, however, were actually developed by a general in the Confederate States of America's Army, General Gabriel J. Rains, an anti-personnel explosive genius. He rigged them with gunpowder, a fuse, and a brass detonation cap, and they were first used in the Peninsula Campaign, and there were thousands of them buried across the South on old battlefields and stuff. There were thousands of them in Richmond. They were so notorious, like General fucking Tecumseh Sherman, that crackhead piece of shit. I don't really like him, but it's whatever. And he was a good general. Loved. But he literally took Confederate POWs and made them walk in front of his troops because he saw 100 men get, throughout that march, men were getting wrecked by these landmines, and they thought, after burning down Atlanta and stuff and all the shit he did with his men, that these were a murderous act of war and warfare. And there are also very psychological effects on the people, and they were called barbarous by General McClellan. And they were not warfare, but of murder, as Sherman was quoted as saying. And yeah, that's some early uses of explosives. Now, to get into dynamite, dynamite was originally a alternative to nitroglycerin. Nitroglycerin pretty much it's known for being, it can be used to treat pet stain in the oral form. It's all because it's used as a vasodilator. Now, this nitroglycerin has been used for many things. It's mainly been used for construction, actually helping in a healthcare way too, with like chest pain stuff. But nitroglycerin, pretty much its chemical form, its chemical form is C3H5N3O9. It's colorless liquid and all that. I was a chemistry. I hit honors chemistry, like AP chemistry in high school. So now, nitroglycerin actually predates Civil War to an extent. It was stronger than black powder, and it was synthesized by an Italian chemist named Ascanio Subrio. I don't know if I got that right. And he did that in 1847 while working under Theophile Jules Paulus at the University of Turin, wherever the fuck Turin is. Though nitroglycerin was later adapted for commercial use by Alfred Nobel, aka the guy who did the Nobel Peace Prize, who experimented with safer ways to handle this dangerous compound. After his brother Emil and several of his co-workers were killed in an explosion at the Nobel's armaments factory in Hellenbergsborg, Sweden in 1864. Now, this eventually led to Nobel making a business that made a liquid combination of nitroglycerin and gunpowder and called it blasting oil. Pretty much blasting oil, it's used to blast stuff, blow stuff up pretty much. But this stuff was very unstable and difficult to handle. Like, if you dropped a little tiny bit of that on the ground, it would blow a hole next to you on the ground. It was catastrophic. Now, and the first commercial use for this on railroads was actually with the Central Pacific Railroad in 1866 of April that year of 1866. And they were trying to use nitroglycerin to blast through the Sierra Nevada mountains to get the Summit Tunnel to go there. Well, one of those crates blew up an entire Wells Fargo's company office in San Francisco, and it eventually eventually it led to them completing the railroad across the country, uniting east and west of America. So, dynamite was developed by Alfred Nobel. Well, the reason Nobel invented dynamite was because they ended up in 1869 banning nitroglycerin through the Nitroglycerin Act of 1869 in Germany and Liverpool and all that. And dynamite was actually a lot safer than nitroglycerin, because you don't have to worry about if you accidentally drop it, it's gonna blow you to shit. Now, I've handled dynamite. My dad used to buy it from Home Depot when I was a kid. It's fun stuff. We'd always go blast fishing and shit. Real fun stuff. Actually, I think I still have some crates in my shed. Yeah, I still have crates in my shed. Yeah, I still have like a box or two of that shit in my shed, actually. I forgot I had that shit. I might go play with that later. Yeah. But, no, eventually he experimented more, and he mixed the nitroglycerin with other inert absorbents. And people tried to get around Nobel's patent for that and tried to make their own versions of dynamite. Well, now, dynamite, it's been used for a long time. It's still used on construction sites and in war and all that, but they use different shit. Now, that's enough on dynamite, because I know I'm boring you off. We're going to get into explosive ammo. Explosive ammo and incendiary buckshot. Incendiary buckshot was originally used in, like, artillery shells and stuff, and cannons. Cannons have a HE cannon shot. Pretty much, it's like a grape shot. Was like you could wrap, what they used to do with cannons is they would, like, wrap them in a heated thing, and they wrap it with some kind of, they put bear fat or something that's highly flammable on it, wrap it onto the cannonball, and when they ignite it, it would set the cannonball on fire and set the ship on fire and stuff. So pretty much they got that with cannon stuff. But the first modern incendiary buckshot it's Dragon's Breath shells. I mean, it's not legal in my state because, well, it's licensed. You have to have a license, or like you have to get a permit for it. It's legal in my state, California, I think Alabama and Colorado, and maybe Arkansas. I know that. But anywhere else you can get it. So, yeah. Well, mainly the reason it's illegal in my state is because, well, someone tried to rob a bank with that shit. And it didn't end well, and he burned down the bank and all the money in it. So, yeah. But incendiary ammo was first used in World War I. I mean, they were mainly used in shells. Like, they used them 90mm shrapnel shells, 100mm pig iron incendiary shells and all that. They're mainly using cannons, but they were made by using phosphorus, and to Red Dead Online we're using animal fat, which isn't phosphorus, and makes more sense. And moonshine. Liquor's flammable, but how the hell are you gonna get incendiary buckshot from moonshine? Makes no sense, really. I mean, I understand dynamite arrows. That's a tricky subject, because I couldn't really find anything on dynamite arrows, unless it was like a scene from Dukes of Hazzard. Alright, in that movie, '05 movie. Pretty much. But incendiary shells were mainly used by cannons in World War I, and in planes and stuff. World War II, however, they were used like in bomber planes and all that again, but they updated them by using nitrocellulose, which is pretty much just you just pack it down on something and it blows shit to shit. Now, modern incendiary ammo is pretty much Dragon's Vest, like I said, and all that legal shit. Now, historically, it doesn't make sense to have incendiary buckshot, especially if you're not going to use the proper stuff, which is phosphorus. Phosphorus is a high burn chemical, mainly was used in like cameras and stuff to light stuff up and like cameras and all that, and like, so it doesn't really make much sense to have incendiary buckshot in online or in story mode for Red Dead, because it wasn't invented yet, and you're not going to make incendiary buckshot from moonshine. You need, if you're going to do it historically, you're going to need phosphorus, nitrocellulose, and some other stuff. I could probably find a recipe online, update y'all later in the comments. Now, we're going to get on to explosive ammo. Explosive ammo, pretty much, it's modern shit. It's in the 1800s, wasn't common. Wasn't really well adapted at all. But modern era, you got stuff that was made by, like, most famous use of explosive ammo on anything was the presidential assassination attempt by John Hinckley to kill Ronald Reagan, because he used a explosive bullet from a pistol to try to kill Reagan. And it backfired, because the bullet fucked up. It didn't blow up, and Reagan luckily lived. So, yeah. Now, getting on to, and anyway though, where was it? Explosive ammo, yeah. Explosive ammo for like rifles and pistols, it's not that common, not really. I mean, the only thing I could really think of for Red Dead, it'd be Red Dead 1 with that Tankgewehr, the explosive rifle, which is pretty much a German Tankgewehr. It was made in the 1800s, 1940s, early 1914. It's pretty much used to destroy tanks. Well, I developed in 1916, I forget when Tankgewehr. Tankgewehr is a really heavy rifle, it's like 40 pounds, has massive recoil, and it's primarily known for being one of the first anti-tank weapons really produced. On hand grenades and all that. Yeah. But explosive, like rifle ammo, I couldn't find anything for explosive rifle ammo because they didn't really make the shit. It wasn't that used. Unless up to most of this explosive ammo and incendiary ammo stuff, aside from maybe the dynamite and the dynamite arrow and stuff, weren't used up till Star Wars 1 because they were starting to produce that stuff with phosphorus and all that. I did find one example of explosive ammo, though, and that was made by the Russians in the 1880s, or 1890s, my bad, 1894. They used phosphorus, like I said before. And they used it for their Mosin Nagants while fighting in, this was later used in the Japanese-Russian War, where the Japanese kicked the shit out of the Russians. And the Russians would try to blow up the Japanese, kill the Japanese with incendiary bullets, explosive bullets. Well, this backfired tremendously on them, because they would blow up the rifles the Russians were using. And it literally led to it being more destructive to the Russians than the Japanese. But anyway, overall, to give a historical rating of this, it's somewhat accurate, explosive ammo. Somewhat. Not the incendiary buckshot or the explosive rifle and cartridges for like the rifles and firearms. Dynamite bow, dynamite, fireballs, Molotov cocktails, all that, yeah, that's accurate. I mean, they've been making Molotov cocktails since the 1810s probably, or 1700s. Like shit, get a rag, you light it, liquor go boom boom. You throw that shit and sets it on fire. Shit, if you want to make napalm, all you need is some styrofoam and some